absolute box office sensation, the MCU once again entering phase 5 has decimated everyone in its path. But the question is it a good movie? Yes or no? I'm joined by Remington, Tony, and Jason. I wanted to start this off. Normally, I'd like to kick this to Jason. Jason giving his most positive, affirming view of the movie. I'd love to do that, but there has to be something that I say about this movie. And that is, I think it's important that this is a movie that was made, if you watch the credits, like literally 1,000 people. Like 1,000 people made this movie. Real people. People with families, friends, everyone that they told was like, I'm a part of a Marvel movie. I get to make the next Marvel movie. It's a life-changing experience. They get to tell their kids are going to tell their kids that my parent worked on a Marvel movie. Like, this is an incredible thing. These people worked 16 to 18-hour days, some of them for an entire year, just to edit and just to do CGI on one part of one scene. Like, these people put in their life and soul into this movie. And unfortunately, it's not their fault. They worked really hard at this. But the top 1% of the people responsible for this movie turned out an absolute disaster. An awful movie. Just the worst possible movie that could have been made with this much money. An incredible cast, an incredible crew. But the writer and Kevin Feige specifically need to be held responsible for the fact that we got a movie called Ant-Man and the Wasp in Quantumania. And really what it is Ant-Man and the Wasp having cameos in Michelle Pfeiffer's giving an exposition dump while we have to watch the ugliest CGI I've seen in a long time. I just wanted to say that out of the gate. Jason, what were your thoughts about the movie?
Dude, and I would sit here and love to spend the positive spin on this, but damn, my opinion's not too far off from yours, dude. And you're absolutely right. It's like they couldn't decide who the main character of this movie was, because I think the Ant-Man had a good amount of screen time, but Wasp, gosh, she was barely in the movie. Well, unless you count Michelle Pfeiffer being the original Wasp and that she was taking over the title character in this movie. I guess you could have the argument. But yeah, my biggest complaint, they can't decide on what the main character is. But man, dude, it was hard. It was hard to watch that one. It was it being the 31st MCU movie now, and they still, I feel like they're going by the same formula. And a ugly CG performance of that too, man. Yeah, I can't agree more with those words. So I'm not gonna sit here and put the positive spin on it this time, guys. Sorry, I'm gonna trash talk it with y'all.
Remington Tones.
I'm just gonna say this right now. The movie is so inconsequential to the rest of the MCU that it felt like a waste of my time going to watch it. Like, nothing that was done in the movie affects anything in the rest of the MCU. They introduced a character which he doesn't look unbeatable. He looks fairly normal. I mean, I don't want to call Ant-Man the B-list of the Avengers, but like, if he's getting soloed by Ant-Man, how am I supposed to believe that this guy is going to take on Thor? Like, let's be honest here. So just like within the MCU, just the story itself was bad. The costumes were pretty bad. Really bad. I really do not like King's costume. I don't like, there was a lot of things just visually that just really took me out of the movie. The dialogue's pretty bad, but I'm still gonna watch the next one, so I can't say that this is my breaking point, but it was pretty boring. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, so I think the best way to sum up this movie is I
see where you're going.
I'm so excited to have seen Star Wars Episode 17. My God, I had no idea. Did you guys go see Ant-Man? I didn't see an Ant-Man movie. I saw Star Wars. Holy shit. They literally it's like the worst possible, just visually, it looked like a YouTube version of Battlestar Galactica trying to be a Star Wars movie. just off the bat, that was the first thing. I was like, what the fuck? They literally just tried to make it like I think they actually went into the wardrobe room from the last Star Wars movie and just took half the costumes and threw it on a bunch of extras and are like, all right, hey, this is the quantum realm. There's people that look like humans. They're not humans. Yeah, Jesus Christ, what a shit show of a movie. Oh my God, so bad. Ant-Man and Friends, Michelle Pfeiffer, who I am really starting to get confused on the whole timeline thing. She spent 30 years in the quantum realm.
Oh, yeah.
And 30 years in the human realm, but the human realm is like 5 times the timeline. I don't Ant-Man spends 5 hours. He spends 5 hours in the quantum realm. It's 5 years in the real world. She spends 30 years in the quantum realm via Earth time, and also 30 years in the. We're just going to go ahead and basically the Marvel bit off way more than they could chew with the current level of writers. Oh yeah, the writer for this fucking movie hasn't wrote another movie ever.
So get this. So
I didn't know
the person that they credited, this person's name is Jeff Loveness.
Oh,
yeah. Jeff Loveness.
NPC
Jeff Loveness. This is the person I will shit on the most because this is the only person credited to being a writer. Now, I'm assuming it's Disney. Who knows how many like people got a hold of the script and re-edited and added whatever. So, but his name is on 100% of the credits. So I'm giving him 100% of the blame. The fact that before this, he wrote like a few episodes of what's that show? Rick and Morty.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the fucking pièce de résistance is that he was a writer for the Jimmy Kimmel Show. Yes. And that makes the most sense ever because this movie had all of the humor and wit of a Jimmy Kimmel monologue, meaning it was non-existent. I mean, this movie was so bad when it tried to be funny. Like, it was almost like watching fan fiction on the internet that a 12-year-old wrote trying to write a Marvel movie. I mean, the cast-offs of Monster Inc. that are these characters that all speak like they're weirdos from Parks and Rec and just being like, oh, how many holes do you have? Like, the humor they try to infuse in this movie made me want to blow my brains out. It was so bad. So unbelievably bad. In the part of the movie where, so you have this Jello character. You have this Jello character that's supposed to be funny, and he's making jokes about people's holes. And God forbid we keep doing this thing where we question like how many holes a person has. And then this Jello thing gets shot up and then says, I have holes. I sank. I literally grabbed my face and sank into my chair, and I did not return to the normal seated position until the movie was over. I have never been so embarrassed to be watching a movie. I would say this movie was made for babies, but really this movie would have been made for like Primordial Soup. Except if it was made for Primordial Soup, we never would have evolved to being humans because we would have been like, just fucking shoot me already. I don't want to evolve into something that could make such an awful movie.
I was so bored I couldn't even get that invested in it. You know, I couldn't bring myself to have the emotions to even be upset when stuff like that happened on screen because it was boring. It was absolutely boring for the first, I'd say, hour of it. You know, I'm trying to think of when the first scene where I started to get excited. It must have been when Ant-Man's doing the whole variants where all of him are trying to make that pyramid of themselves to kind of get back up. Like that scene, I started to get a little invested in it, but Jesus Christ, man, it was from being bored to like, oh, is something cool going to happen? Oh, no, nothing again. Okay. All right. Maybe something else. Oh, no. Okay. But yeah, boredom was the emotion for most of that movie for me. Fuck, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's that was one of the three things I liked about the movie was that sequence of all the Scotts climbing on each other, and then you know Scott in the background yells, "Oh, somebody has ice cream!" Like that was about the peak of like my interest was. Oh, we got more Paul Rudd on screen. That's always good.
Yeah, exactly.
As excited as I got.
Can't go wrong with more Paul Rudd, yeah. And them all helping each other up and then giving them words of encouragement and stuff.
Yeah, hive mind. I mean, I love the ant hive mind thing. Like, it worked for the movie and his character. Like, I was with it. That was about that 10 seconds. We had that 10 seconds.
We'll always have that 10 seconds. We'll always have that.
I mean, and then a couple Kang moments I think carried the movie too. If we're going to talk about the two people that carried it, definitely Kang and Scott Lang as far as their characters and the actors. But gosh, man, it was, I don't want to say it was all the female leads in it, but they did not like pull their weight in it as far as what I expected them, especially after last movie Wakanda with being such strong female leads and them carrying the movie more. Felt in this one, it was like, oof. A couple dudes that we've seen in a lot of movies and a massive talking head.
literal talking head.
Oh my God. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, with all the different characters to talk about. So let's start with Kang, because Kang is the one person that most people walked away from the movie being like, I don't like the movie. I liked Kang. Ram's tones. What were your thoughts? Kang the Conqueror. Interesting villain in a suboptimal movie.
Very suboptimal.
Less than ideal.
One could say.
That's the word. No, Kang I think was good. I like the acting performance. I think because he got introduced to me in that very long composite, like that very long info dump where I'm just like, okay, like it was just a very long time. And then the fact that his henchman was a big giant talking head that was like not scary just also doesn't, appeal to me. I think I've been spoiled with I think we've been spoiled as a fan base with Thanos and like other good villains that we've kind of had in the Marvel universe that like I was just expecting him to be this world beater, and he's not a world beater, and he's not. I think maybe his appeal is just that there's so many of him. Maybe I'll grow to appreciate that, but like I don't come away with this thinking that, oh, this guy's an actual real threat. This is an actual guy that's gonna like mess up the Avengers. This is not somebody who's like universe like threatening. He's not gonna make any real impact. So like that's how I feel coming from the movie. But the acting performance was great. So that's something I was really worried about that, just because we're kind of counting on Jonathan Majors for this entirety of Phase 5 to be saved just a little bit. If Jonathan Majors does not pull like an Oscar-worthy performance, we are going to be having a very rough next couple of videos, honestly. So, he showed up, he delivered, he hopefully he gets, it's just up from here, so we can just always have something nice to say about him every single time. But he did well.
I feel like, a lot of our videos going forward on shows and movies might just start with, well, Jonathan Majors was good, but fuck, that movie sucked. Yeah, I think, I think he did the best he could. With given by Jeff Beatnik, Love Sauce.
Love Nest. The Love Nest monster.
Love Nest monster. Jeff Lovefest. I think that was Jeff Woodstock. Okay, I'm done. I think he really did the best he could. The idea, like Thanos, he gets one brief to challenge them as to court death, peek over the shoulder, look into his eye. That's the first thing we see of Thanos ever, right? Next thing we see is in Avengers 1. He has back and forth with Loki, and he's sitting up on his throne, like he's just basically dictating to Loki what to do, right? He's ordering Loki essentially what to do. Next time we see him, it's Guardians, and now he's talking about how he's going to bathe the stowaways in Ronan's blood, right? Now it's like he's elevating the menacing vibe. And then when he finally goes into action is Infinity War, right? What's the first thing he does? He fucking kills Loki, he beats the shit out of Thor, and has Heimdall killed in a span of like 7 minutes. And it's Hulk just like, too. Holy fuck, this guy
shit out of Hulk.
Business. Like, shit. No, there was none of that in this first appearance for Jonathan Majors. And it's not his fault. I think he's very talented. He has all the potential, but he's just going to constantly be held by shitty underperforming writing, and it's very unfortunate. But I thought he had good moments. I think, yeah, it's like you can see the potential there, but it's just like, not to just go over every single part of the movie of how I would rewrite it if I was writing this movie, but one little thing, and it's not even a little thing, one thing that they could have done that would have changed all of this is and this is the same shit that X-Men Apocalypse failed with. Apocalypse didn't actually kill anybody. He like dodged a bullet. He dodged a bolt and it killed Havoc, right? But he didn't actually kill anybody. Same thing with Kang. The only person he kills is not even a person. It's a robot with a beam for a head. Like, so it's like, I'm supposed to feel something for that? Like, get the fuck out of here. So it just like, so if they set it up where I was like, almost, they teased it a little bit. Like at the end, he's beating the shit out of Ant-Man. And I was like, oh, is he going to do it? Is he going to kill Ant-Man right now? Or at least Ant-Man like sacrifices himself to close the portal or whatever. That would have like immediately put some actual weight into the Kang character, been like, he killed Ant-Man, or going to have a funeral. That alone would have drastically altered my view of Kang as a character. But instead, he just gets sucked into the even deeper the quantum realm of the quantum realm. I'm not sure if he died or if he just went into the deeper realm.
Sub-quantum realm.
Yeah, the quantum realm.
Yeah, at the end when all the Kangs are like, oh,
yeah,
we can't let them think that they can beat one of us.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think the death got confirmed at the end.
Yeah, my basic thought is like watching this guy, like the idea of a bunch of them is watching this one guy get his ass kicked movie and show hand over fist isn't going to make me think he's super cool or badass. It's just like, oh yeah, here's him losing for the 4th time and the 5th time.
And to also add to that, it's like when you walk away, if you didn't know that Kang was supposed to be the big bad villain for Phase 5, would you think he was any different than the villain from Iron Man 2? Or just like some random one Marvel movie villain? He feels like a one-off movie villain that we just kill, advance the story, and then goes on. Like, they have a lot of work to do before the next one comes out.
Yeah, this movie was a origin Kang story. I really think that this is what their whole, vessel for this movie is we have to introduce this Kang, and they didn't do it very well. I mean, they could have done it so much better as far as a second season of Loki, like how they kind of got that tease there at the very end of which was great to see both of them back for that, Owen Wilson and, Tom Hiddleston, both in their roles like that. That was probably one of the best parts of the movie was that last scene with there. And seeing that, I guess that's a version of Kang in like the 19th century or something. It seems like it's Earth. I don't really know when or where that was, but we needed a whole nother season of introducing Kang, of these episodic things, building that momentum, because it was those small scenes and almost that like the Godzilla, the Jaws sort of thing, where you just see bits and pieces of the big bad guy or the monster. You fill the rest of your head with it. Like we were doing that with Thanos for years before we actually got to see him, and so we see him at the end of Loki, and then we haven't seen him in anything else since then, right? This is his next debut, was this movie, and so it's like, we didn't have enough time to build any of that momentum or whatnot. But I keep thinking back to Rick and Morty, though, the entire time I'm watching this, like the Citadel of Ricks, and like how there was one badass Rick that they actually all were scared of, and we were constantly shown why that Rick was so much better than all the other ones. And I was like constantly looking at that King the Conqueror, but maybe that's also what it was supposed to do for us, to showing us that wasn't the most powerful of the kings, like one of those 3 at the end, which I think there's like one of them is like the Red Centurion, one's like Pharaoh King or Tut. There's stories to all 3 of those in the comics. So I'm thinking that those are the ones that we're supposed to be more scared of. So that I'm hoping that that's the angle they're showing us, that, hey, we thought this guy was the big baddie. No, there's even like worse versions of him. But I'm not a fleshed out character in this movie. We need much more time to do that.
Yeah, they are just spreading Jonathan Majors super thin, being like, we need you to be all these different types of characters. And it's just, why do that with just this guy when there's plenty of other villains you could be introducing to be the guys that bring it and they get killed off in one. this guy, you've already named the Kang Dynasty, a movie that's going to come out a few years from now. Like, this is how we're introduced to him. I do think it's funny. Because to me, Jonathan Majors in this movie was kind of like an Elvis, Austin Butler. Like, he had a great performance, but the movie was just so awfully directed, and it's just so chaotic. It's hard to get that. That performance can't really be fleshed out. Jonathan Majors, there's moments where I'm like, all right, I like him right there, but then it's kind of weird. He does this thing that's like from the Ben Stiller and Tropic Thunder school of acting, where he like goes like, you sure about that? But like he has to tilt his head and like move his like face around. It's really weird.
Yeah, very animated.
Doing that. Also, it was hilarious when Michelle Pfeiffer goes back and she's like, "Yeah, I fought Kang, and believe it or not, I couldn't take him out." And I was like, "Oh, really? The 70-year-old geriatric woman who's surprisingly spry and can do all these weird moves. You couldn't take down Kang? My God, you guys are doing an excellent job of setting up Kang's abilities. That he was so powerful, he took down Michelle Pfeiffer's."
And Bill Murray. And Bill Murray. Don't forget.
Oh, and of course, they bring in Bill Murray just for the reason of introducing another goddamn tentacle monster. How many fucking times do I have to have a tentacle monster in my fucking movie?
I thought it was great that he was Michelle Pfeiffer's side piece of ass. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is the guy I was fucking in the quantum realm for the past 30 years." You know, it's like, wait, what?
I think we can come away from this just knowing that Kevin Feige is 100% into tentacle hentai. It's the only explanation.
Well, that or it's just for a certain demographic in another country where it's like they test really well with tentacle monsters for some reason. Like
unnamed country, no idea what he's talking about.
I don't know which country it is. All I know is that for some reason or another, Guardians has tentacle monsters. This movie has tentacle monsters. Star Wars has tentacle monsters. You could just stitch them all together. Doctor Strange is tentacle monster. Yeah. Why do we have tentacle monster in every fucking movie? Is it just because it's easy to render? Is it because it tests well in certain audiences? Or is it because everyone likes beating their meat to it? It's really annoying, and I'm sick of it.
Someone needs to check his porn history. Like, I just want to put that out there. Somebody needs to check his porn history.
Giant monster hate fucks tentacle hentai.
So the rest of the cast, again, it's like you got Paul Rudd. I love Evangeline Lilly. Like, I love Evangeline Lilly. She's one of the standouts of the Hobbit movie.
Hello.
Yeah, her hair. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get over her haircut, actually.
I thought her hair was wonderful. But no, she's fantastic. But like, again, in this movie, she and Paul Rudd especially, they don't have anything. They don't talk to each other. They don't do anything other than her like swooping in and picking him up out of the pile of Paul Rudd's. Like, why it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp literally do nothing in this whole movie. Mm-hmm. In fact, MODOK has more of an effect on the end battle than Ant-Man does.
That's actually a sad truth.
It's like your divorced parents. It was like a road trip with your divorced parents. Just very awkward.
It was so weird. I wonder if they cut out a lot of her scenes, or movie was getting too long, because it felt like strangely her being absent, you know. And then the lack of chemistry too between them two, and then that final kiss at the end almost felt like rushed and forced, you know. It's like, you guys didn't develop some new love for each other throughout this movie. It's like you're just reminding us, oh yeah, you guys are a couple.
Totally.
Yeah. I think the weakest part of the movie would definitely be Cassie, who they didn't give a name to Cassie, but because of her intro is that she's arrested. Paul Rudd comes and bails her out, and she says that she was being a hero because she was protesting homeless people getting dispersed in the middle of the night by police. And she throws that in Paul Rudd's face, being like, "You're not even doing anything with your life." And she's the one that she said, so my name, they don't give her a name. I'm calling her Aunt Aoife. So you have Aunt Wasp, and Aunt Tifa, and she is by far just the weakest part of the movie. And they try to build her up to be like this next, young Avenger character, and she's just terrible.
Yeah, I agree.
The whole family dinner scene was really bad. Like that was just, I don't know how I'm supposed to like these people. Like he just fought a war like against like the scariest dude in the whole entire universe. Like, and he comes back home and he just wants a little peace and quiet. And they're like, well, what are you doing with your fucking life, Dad? Get off the couch and get a job. Like, dude, what?
I already did enough for like 10 lifetimes. Yeah.
Dude, no, literally. I mean, it's crazy. The fucking audacity for them to be like, what are you doing with your life? What am I doing with my life? I just fought Thanos twice.
You're modulating.
No, sorry. But no, that scene immediately made me just want everybody to die. That scene immediately, I was like, fuck all these people. How dare they? How dare they?
It's literally a Woodstock goer telling a World War II veteran, hey, what are you doing with your life, man? That Normandy thing was years ago.
It was the same thing that I was complaining about in Doctor Strange, where they're giving him so much shit about the Time Stone stuff, or in Spider-Man with Mephisto was right, Mephisto forever. It's like everyone giving these heroes such shit, It's like, come on, guys, you don't even know what they've done.
Listen, buddy, my friends were face down in the mud, so you and I can enjoy this little conversation. Dude, I mean, literally, just the fucking audacity to paint him like, oh, he's not doing anything with his life. I'm like, the man has earned.
And book tours have got to be hard to do, Book tours are.
That was actually really funny. That was a really funny part of the movie.
I did. And when he's the whole group of kids all dressed like him and everything like that, like crying at his last words, it's just like, oh God, he had some good one-liners too at the end. It's like, and the little guy, of course, stuff, but I learned to grow or something like that. Everything was like a reference to ants or growing or getting smaller or bigger.
And he's listening to his own book on audio in the car.
Oh, must be on the radio or something. No, definitely isn't. Hey, I would be too. If I had my own audiobook, man, I'd be listening to that thing like 24/7.
Sure. You hear that majestic voice? That's me.
Yeah.
Wonder who turned this on.
Oh, but no, Cassie Lang, gosh, man, that was going to be one of my really big points on this one too. Is like, they could another vehicle. Like, hey, we're going to put this next T'Challa, the next Hawkeye, the next, all of this, all the shoulder on some random kid actor, and so hopefully, they pull it off. And she definitely didn't pull it off. There were so many times where it's like you want to get behind her. It's like the speech she had to the other Resistance woman at the jail cell, or, trying to be like motivating or something, just fell so flat. All of these, her big speech to everyone, like she was the rallying point for the whole rebellion. It's like, really, this girl who's been here for 5 minutes is motivating you guys all for this 30-year war that you've been having going on.
There's literally they're about to get genocided, and it's like, in case you guys weren't motivated before, there's a projection up there and she's got your back, guys. It's just like they're fighting for their lives
against an army of someone who's supposed to be one of the smartest people in the world, who's been developing this army for like 30 years, ready to like get out of here. And a band of rebels and like 4 B-list superheroes defeat the entire thing. It's just like, holy shit, dude, you had some poor planning down here over this long time. And another thing gets me too. Okay. And the PIM particles, they have got to be the most incredibly hard thing to make in the entire universe of anything of science, because the fact that he can't create it down there in the quantum realm to figure out PIM particles, or the fact that, when they were time traveling in Endgame, they had to go back in time to get more PIM particles rather than start creating some for 5 years in his lab or whatever it took. Like, that's one thing that absolutely blows my mind about that technology, that it is only one person can create this shit. It's like, how hard is it really,
Well, now we're getting to the point where, just the laziness of this movie, and then also Riri Williams in Black Panther, where all of a sudden Cassie Lang is like, oh, I just found a way to communicate with the quantum realm. And it's just like, and at first they're all like proud of her, like, oh, you're messing with the quantum realm. Isn't that wonderful? And then Michelle Pfeiffer's like, wait, you actually communicate? Oh, turn it off. It's just like, the ease of just, oh wow, they just made it in her basement, and Riri Williams can just make shit in her basement. It's just like the laziness, and just we're just gonna write that this character can do this without building it up, and I don't know where Cassie all of a sudden, just because she's related to Michael Douglas, that she then was able to. It makes no sense, and it's
every child is a genius in the MCU too. Every child is a genius. They all can just come out the womb knowing how to make Stark's armor, or communicate with the quantum realm. It's fucking ridiculous.
When everyone's a genius, nobody's a genius.
Nice,
very nice.
Yeah, the I will say what I did. There was one frame that I loved. I loved this one because it looked straight out of a comic book. And because Kang, the moments where he's like in control and like looking serious, it's like, oh, there he is. And then he would start to like, he would just scream or he would act weird. And I'm like, oh, but you lost it there. Because when it's Kang the Conqueror, you're like, this guy is conquer. Like this guy is, I think of Genghis Khan. I'm like, how would Genghis Khan act if he was a super villain? And he would be in control. He's like, I have done this over and over again. Like, you're not going to stop me. So him having these emotional outbursts, I felt like was not the correct choice. But I loved when Ant-Man and the Wasp are in small form and they charge at him, and he's just like this, and he just flicks and sends them flying. I fucking was like that. It looked like I could just see like the cloud bubble of the word saying like flick. I could just see it. I loved that part. Was there a part, Remy, that you loved that you're like, that's what I love the most about the movie?
Fuck. Maybe the I really like the Ant-Man building on himself. Because it was just Paul Rudd and none of the other annoying, pointless side characters. I think the blue face shield. I think it makes sense. I think it works. Like, cause I like that. They're putting in like the original Kang blue look, but he's not blue all the time. Like, I think it's fine. So there's I like when he actually was fighting. I liked it the way his powers looked, like the blue kind of bursts and blasts. And they kind of just briefly mentioned that he doesn't actually have any powers. It's all tech, right?
Yeah. I think so.
And his tech is so advanced. It's so advanced that we're gonna beat it pretty easily. Actually, if I had to pick, I guess I would say the Ant-Man building on himself is just visually, and I think just separated by itself was probably the most fun. Yeah. How about you?
I think the part where they finally build the scene and she touches the ship and she kind of sees that.
Oh.
And he's kind of like standing there, and he's like big, and he has like, I think he has his armor on and everything. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of looking at him. That one was pretty cool. Cause like, that's when I first like was going into it, and I was like, okay, like we're finally getting to the point of this really long flashback, and it's kind of cool that he's doing that. And then I was just like, oh yeah, this guy's legit. Like, I'm seeing him kill people. I'm seeing him like murder planets. I'm seeing like planets go black. I'm like, oh, this guy's, he means business. And then we just get to that really weird fight that was really bad. I don't even think we have enough time to talk about the fight scenes. In fact, I don't want to talk about the fight scenes. I think I'll save myself the headache and the dry mouth from talking too much. So yes, everything before that fight scene where she touches the ship and she kind of sees what he's up to and how he just kind of looks like him in the scene looks really good. He looks really
up on the throne.
Yeah, very like, like this is the big bad. This is the guy. In my mind, I'm thinking that he's about to get away and go kill people and then come back or something. I don't really know what was going to happen, but in that moment, I was like completely sold on like, yeah, this guy's legit. And then he wasn't.
Every ruler needs a good throne. I think Thanos established that. Every ruler needs a good throne. Just sit up there and being like, I'm so fucking cool. You can't even touch me up here.
And a powerful henchman, not MODOK.
Oh, yes. Not a awkward giant head.
Gosh, like I'm supposed to take him serious and he has a freaking giant head doing his bidding? What am I supposed to do with that? Like, Thanos had Loki. Thanos had the Squidward looking guys. Thanos had like Ronan. Like, Thanos had some legit like baddies. Heavy like baddies. Like, just go in, fuck shit up, come back like, here, Squire, here's what I did for you. Like, this is not, he needs better henchmen. That's what I need.
Yeah, Jason, what's is there another standout moment for you?
There was one where King gets serious, where he is starting to like really annihilate a lot of the rebels, where he jumps down there and he does that spin move where he's just blasting everyone away. And there's a couple of fight scenes that I did enjoy. Him and Ant-Man, there was a portion of that fight scene at the end that I kind of enjoyed. A little bit of the world, like I did like them exploring the world a little bit, but holy green screens. I mean, that's the entire movie though. Like I kept even getting thrown off by that, where it's I mean, the technology is there. Mandalorian, you know, they have that set where it's a, you know, they build on the bottom floor and the whole thing's a circle. So it's like this, they've realized that they need to have both parts to make you feel immersed in the scene. You can't just do green screen everywhere. And you can even see in some of the actors. So like, wow, they're looking around amazingly. And there's so many different points that are amazing, but you can tell that they don't see those. They're just, wow, this is all amazing. And there's one explosion going on there where you should be looking like, wow, that's amazing. You know, it's like, I can't even imagine. It's like how we talked about, Christian Bale and Gore the God Butcher. Like he was really upset that he couldn't immerse himself in the roles because of these, you know, empty sets of green around you. And I thought about that multiple times throughout the actors. Like, okay, they've really got to probably be focused on this. Like, okay, what is my character supposed to be delivering in this scene? So I tried to like give them the benefit of doubt in some of those where it's like, okay, this has got to be hard. But the world itself was fun to explore a little bit. It did feel very much. Did you see Strange World, that Pixar one? Disney Plus right now. It's
Did
just
not.
Strange World, I think it is. But
Yeah, it's called Strange World.
yeah. And you're pretty much, it's inside, you know, a giant tortoise is like the whole thing. So it has a very like human body kind of feel to a lot of the creatures and things moving around. I definitely got that feeling from this movie. So I was like, oh, cool. Maybe it's going to go into some like we're inside a massive creature or more to this whole world. But it kept bringing me in and throwing me right back out because I kept questioning like Kang and how did he make that whole freaking city? You know, it's like, and why would you? You know, it's like you're sitting here trapped in some jail cell. Are you going to make your jail cell the most beautiful jail cell ever? Like that's your whole mission is to do that. It's like, no, I think you'd be going in a lot other routes of this, of like trying to escape rather than make your world this beautiful city. But sorry, you asked me what the positive things were in the movie. And I keep to the negative things. Like, oh, there's this positive thing, and then I go up this direction to the negative. You know, yeah, a couple fight scenes from Kang were probably my favorites. But yeah, it was. I keep getting flashes to him as far as the carrying this whole movie on his back.
Yeah, two gripes that I had with the one. Okay, so Michael Douglas basically doesn't do anything in the entire movie except ask questions. He's basically there just to ask like, oh, how is that happening? How is this happening? He doesn't do anything. The only thing that happens is at the last sequence, all his ants that fell through the wormhole or fell into the quantum realm, they create this advanced civilization and they come like the army of the dead in Return of the King. They just wipe everything out and they win the day. But Michael Douglas didn't do anything in this movie for that. He basically is just, oh, well, he worked on these ants previously, and in this movie, they happen to save the day. But my immediate question was like, you just brought a massively invasive species. What is that going to do to the local inhabitants and the freedom fighters? Now they have thousands of ants that have way advanced technology. And what, the 10,000 BC cave woman and her friends are going to somehow take out, like, they're just going to live in harmony with these ants? What's that going to do? It was just like another dumb, just don't think about it. Don't think about it too hard. I mean, MODOK was just so stupid and just played for laughs, but I mean, I don't know who would have laughed at that. But and my biggest gripe is the one that is a gripe that I've had for a few movies now. Shout out Mike Kalinowski for pointing this out a while ago. But Marvel's use and lack thereof masks, where everything's nanotech. And the masks just flash on for about 5 seconds and they flash right off. It's like, in case you forgot that we're paying all this money for Paul Rudd, there's his face and his mask and his face. And it just keeps doing that. Oh, I was from the get-go of this movie, it was bothering me. And if you took a shot every time the mask goes on and off, you would die 10 minutes into this movie. It was they do this in every movie now. There's no real mask that just goes on and you have the mask until like the scene's over. It just flashes on, flashes off, flashes on, flashes off. It's so annoying. And they're doing this with every character now. Spider-Man, Iron Man, any character that has a mask now, it just flashes on for a brief second and flashes right off because they want you to see the actor's face. It's really good.
I feel like it's to convey emotion too. It's like they can't get the same expressions from these actors on these masks. I mean, Spider-Man's eye is getting a little, changed for being upset. It's like they have to, okay, we're gonna have a big acting moment, rip off your mask so you can actually talk, and then put it back on to fight. It's purely, I feel like, for cinematic purposes more than anything.
I hate it. I fucking hate it. It's like these characters were drawn and you got like their, the word bubbles and everything conveyed the emotion and their tone of voice and like, the boldness of the letters. Like you could convey all that. Spider-Man never had to take his mask off until like the most important scene, but he could have his mask on. When Gwen Stacy dies, his mask is on the whole time and he's like in pain and agony. You don't need to be doing that. It's so annoying. And the fact that this is just how they handle these characters now. Everyone's got nanotech and everyone's mask just flashes on anyway. But yeah, that was the bulk of my...
I wish they would have left the mask down on MODOK more often. Not to see these just massive, stupid eyes the whole time. I kept thinking about Alice in Wonderland, the Johnny Depp version, where they did they made like the Queen's forehead big, or they over-exaggerated certain facial features throughout the entire movie, and I felt like it was going down that same route on there. So yeah, mask MODOK up. But
no, that's the thing. Yeah, MODOK with the mask looked fine. But his voice, the fact that they just gave him like just a jabroni voice, and I totally forgot when I looked up the credits and I figured out that the actor playing MODOK, I totally forgot he was even in the first Ant-Man movie. And then when he was in this, I was like, oh yeah, he's Yellow Jacket from the first. I totally forgot. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, MODOK was stupid. Tony, do you have any other thoughts on the movie? I know you said you don't want to waste any more breath or thoughts about this movie, so you don't have to if you don't want to.
Since you're asking, the fight scene's awful. Let's talk about it. So we're doing this thing in every Marvel movie where we've been doing it for the last couple of Marvel movies where we have this big, giant, epic battle showdown, like, this side versus this side. And it's in every single Marvel movie. Like it's been in every single Marvel movie, I think, since I don't think Black Widow had one, but I know Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home had one, Thor had one, Doctor Strange had one, where we're just having this big, large, like 10 people fighting at one time, and they just do this thing, and it doesn't need to be there for every movie, and it really doesn't need to be there for every movie if they're not going to do it correctly. Just the way that it's filmed and the angles that they're taking, just how they're showcasing certain characters in it. Like when they did the whole dramatic thing for the robot dying, I was like, dude, who fucking cares? I don't know the guy's name. To this time, I still don't know the robot's name. I don't know why I was supposed to feel hurt about that. I don't know why they spent so much time like crying or like being showing like this sympathy for the robot. I'm like, okay,
Taserface. He should be called Taserface.
Just
it's Taserface's cousin, Laserface.
Or what was the villain, the robotic villain from Thor 1, where his face open,
the Destroyer. I think it's just
the Destroyer. That was basically him. It was basically like you go to Dollar Tree and you get a Destroyer and you just that's what you are. But yeah, the fight scenes, there doesn't need to be a big like battle in every movie. I promise you, like the movie would have been the same without the battle. It still would have sucked. It sucks with the battle. It would have sucked without the battle. It didn't add anything of any particular interest. They didn't show anything. They didn't like they did like the whole Cassie learning how to grow up, which was, why could she not do that again? Like she could shrink, but she couldn't grow. Like, okay, cool. We're just right? And then also logically, who's giving a 16-year-old, 17-year-old,
16, 15?
let's be nice here, 17-year-old, like that type of suit. Like it's just like a lot of these things just logically don't make sense. And if you're gonna do a big battle, you need to do things that make sense so that with each character. Like the whole her not being able to grow thing just makes me just go like, dude, what? But yeah, that's my big gripe about it is just the big giant battle fight scenes. Everyone wants to have like the Lord of the Rings fight scene in it. It's okay. We don't have to have it every single movie. We really don't.
Yeah, are we ever going to get just a nice one, just mano-y-mano fight? Like, let's go back, wind the clocks back to 2008. Just Iron Man versus Obadiah, the Ironmonger. Iron Man versus Ironmonger, just fighting through a building. Some cool flashes of electricity. Don't need that much, but it's way better than any fight scene we've got post Infinity War or Endgame, I guess. But yeah, like it's the idea that everything has to be this large scale. I don't know why nobody stopped being like, let's shrink it down. Maybe just the finale is just this little bit. And I mean, I guess you could Ant-Man and Kang do have their little fight, but it's at the very end after we've already had the big thing. And it just is like, man, you remember Captain America Winter Soldier? That was a really good movie. We used to have Marvel movies like that. It's just,
that's the first fight scene I thought about was Iron Man versus Captain America, but versus Bucky. I guess all three of them are in on it, but that felt like a very small scale, good, action.
Personal.
Yeah. We haven't had one of those in a while. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's just Phase 4. And I was thinking, where would this movie rank if you just threw it into Phase 4? But basically there's no difference. I mean, for me, it's literally bottom. It's right above, you could even say tied, but it's right above Thor: Love and Thunder, but it's below. I feel like I should apologize to Black Widow and Shang-Chi and Black Panther 2. I should apologize to all those movies because I would way rather watch those movies than ever have to watch this one.
I saw the last video and I just want to say, you guys, hated on Black Widow just a tad bit. Okay, I'm here to advocate for Black Widow, and
okay,
I'm not going to get into it, but I'm just here to say that it was not. We got into it.
No, I don't want to. I'll go for a future episode. We'll let you rebuttal in a future episode, but I'll remember that because that's a terrible take, Tony. I mean,
oh my god!
it'll make for great entertainment, but man, that's a bad take. Of all the hills to die on, the Black Widow hill. Woof.
It's just because, maybe it's just because we keep on thinking that we're hitting rock bottom, and somehow there's just another sedimentary layer under, and it's just, we're like, oh no, man, this is the worst. It couldn't possibly get worse than Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah. And then we end up in now the 18th layer of hell. You thought there was only 7? Ant-Man Quantumania is the 18th layer of hell, only to then be usurped by the 23rd layer of hell of whichever movie comes next. Oh, the Marvels! Oh boy. Can't wait for the Marvels to come out. Oh, God.
Wait, is that the next one?
That's the next one. That's the summary.
Yeah, well, no. So that's the thing is that they announced.
That's right.
They just announced that the Marvels has been delayed from July to November. And there's speculation that it's because they're going to do a bunch of reshoots. We didn't even get a trailer for it. Good. So there's plenty of internet theorists out there that are saying that the movie was not testing well, the movie was not prepared, and so it's not good. I mean, ultimately, Ant-Man made $1 quadrillion. It's going to make a lot more money. And so as long as morons like me keep going to see these movies, there's no incentive for Disney to change their ways. The last thing I'll say is the scene in Elf when James Caan just doesn't give a fuck about children's books that he's writing and making. And then his boss comes in. He's like, what is this? It's a kid's book. And you don't even have the last 3 or 4 pages. They're just blank. He's like, they don't even get to those pages. That's how Marvel's treating us. Of how bad MODOK was rendered. And they're just like, dude, we could spend no more money or spend $100 million more money, more dollars to try to fix MODOK. doesn't matter. They'll see it anyway.
Yeah. What was the thought process with that? Was it supposed to be a comedic thing, making his face like that? Or, I mean,
They
I
can get
do.
away with it. It's literally because they know we're a bunch of morons. We're going to go see these movies, and they can get away with it. They don't need to spend any more money on making MODOK look any better. So, unfortunately, as long as these movies are successful, they'll keep coming out.
Honestly, I liked.
Go
ahead. No, you go.
Okay. I was just going to say the last two thoughts I had basically through the end of this movie is, one, can we sum up enough hate, even with the dollars still coming in? Can we sum up enough hate to get Marvel to change their ways in the same way that Disney changed their ways on Star Wars? Remember, we had all those trilogies and the trilogies that were planned, but then the backlash, even though it made money, the backlash was so tough on those last couple movies that they were like, fuck it, we're scrapping it. We don't even we're going to fucking just figure this shit out later. Maybe if we just hate hard enough, that eventually they'll change their ways, even if we're still stupid schmucks that go and pay to see these movies. Maybe. That's one thought.
We gotta realize too, though, this was another pandemic movie. This was something that they had to film in those situations and all of that. And so they probably had so many things where it's like, okay, we've got this 80% movie that's kind of good. We spent all this money and time on it. We just got to get it out. It's like, how many of these past Marvel movies just had that mentality written all over it? It's like, we just got to put it out. We don't have a choice in this matter. We've already invested way too much, so it's not going to be like a Batgirl kind of thing where it's like, oh, no, I'm never going to let that one see the light of day. We spent a lot of money and it's bad. We're not letting anyone see this. One other thing I want to bring up is the missing characters from this movie. The amount of people that they had in the Ant-Man kind of realm, of his little team and stuff like that we did not even see in this movie. And I understand we got 10% of this movie, not even in the real world. So most of this was, just in the quantum realm and stuff, but not getting Michael Pena's recap of something, in this Ant-Man movie, that is tried and true now. I was expecting to see Michael Pena's voice, be voiceover to all the cast and doing that whole thing. We didn't get that. We didn't get any of that, the trio of their little friends, doing anything, which I just saw something though. The not Michael Pena and not T.I. What's the other actor's name? That's in his little group of three guys.
I don't know. Not Joker from The Dark Knight. That's
not Rachel Dawes.
Every time I see not Rachel Dawes.
This is the Baba Goosh or Babalush or whoever who's all worried about the woman in Baba Yaga. Yes, that actor. He was the voice of the pink slime guy with the holes. They just happened to use him as the voice actor for that. So just another thing where he was a character in another one and you just slapped him as the voice actor on that thing, but I mean, we did get to see Randall Park for 5 seconds. And
I will say, I fucking love Randall Park.
Yes. And they're still doing the magic trick stuff, with the credit card.
I was dying. I love that dude.
Yes, and then he whips out the credit card all magic style, and Randall Park's like, "Oh, you can still do the magic." Another highlight of that movie, but yeah, I can't believe we didn't get to see a lot of those tried and true Ant-Man group. I don't know, Thunderbolts maybe.
Remy, you had another point you wanted to make?
Oh, just my last point of being the MCU is fucked. It's just fucked. That's just these movies are just going to suck forever until, again, Disney does something different. Maybe the Marvels will be the start of that. Maybe they'll realize Brie Larson fucking sucks, and then they'll just tank the project and just TNT Looney Tunes style, just and then we can just start it over. Scrape it back down to pre-existence and then start over. But no, my last point is the last good MCU movie, I will bet my left ear on it, will be Guardians 3. Guardians 3 is going to be a money film. I guarantee
Since
it.
You've been gone.
Because it is written and directed by one man with a true vision and an understanding of his characters. He has shown that he can do it 2 times already. Beautiful movies. Guardians 1 and 2 are so fucking good. I do not believe he will let me down. I know he will not let me down. This is going to be a good movie. It's going to be a send-off for a lot of the characters, if not all of them. But until we talk about that, but basically I have faith that movie will be good, will be worth watching. I will probably cry. It'll make me feel something. And then it'll just go back to being everything just terrible.
And that's last page.